Okay, well, I say let's get started. I'll share my screen.
Yes. And I'll remove mine.
Yeah. So make this a bit bigger. Yeah, there it is. So what I would like to show you today is our new solution for you and your customers if you're working at, for example, an airline, to fly more sustainably. And it's called Fly on SAF, so Fly on Sustainable Aviation Fuel. Now, this is a brand new solution that SkyNRG developed over the past months, specifically Margaux and myself. And it's meant to reduce your carbon footprint from flying through sustainable aviation fuel. And for today, we'll discuss a few things. So first, who is SkyNRG? For the people that don't know us yet, what's the impact of flying on sustainable aviation fuel? What's this new solution you're talking about? And what are the options for partners? And I'll determine when we get there how much time we will spend on that specific part. But for now, about SkyNRG. So what do we do? So it's our mission to make sustainable aviation fuel the new global standard. We've been around for 11 years working on sustainable aviation fuel from basically the technological developments. So how could you convert something like a waste to a fuel? The sustainability. So what type of materials are out there that are eligible for converting to a sustainable aviation fuel? Because not all fuel or not all material is really available and really sustainable to use. So those types of things. And after a few years, we came to the conclusion that there is a very large market. And where we now stand, we actually see and we know that sustainable aviation fuel is basically the only short-term solution to really decarbonize the aviation industry, an industry that's still growing because more and more people will get access to flying and it has a very large footprint. So our mission is to solve that challenge basically and lead the way or support the transition basically to more sustainable aviation. So who do we work with? Well, we basically work with a lot of different companies around the world, from big corporates to smaller consumer-focused brands, through airports, through manufacturers, and so on. And basically, what we do is we take a collaborative approach in everything that we do. So we really focus on collaboration, and we believe that through collaboration we can make the biggest impact. So what is it exactly that we do then? So we source sustainable aviation fuel and we deliver it. Obviously, we develop new facilities. So there's currently a very limited supply of sustainable aviation fuel, which is a big challenge in the market. And the reason for that being is there's too little demand still because the price is too high, and the price is still too high because there's too little supply. Now, that's a chicken and egg problem that SkyNRG tries to solve. What else do we do? So we develop future fuels. So maybe you've heard of fuel made from carbon that you capture from the air. Well, those types of new technologies are very promising for the future. And that's where we have a full dedicated team on working constantly to develop new ways to convert a waste or anything else that's eligible for fuel to sustainable aviation fuel and to not use fossil fuels anymore and leave them in the ground. Co-funding the premium. So this, what this means is basically sustainable aviation fuel is still a couple of times more expensive than fossil jet fuel, and through programs or new solutions like this Fly on SAF solution, companies can actually help in pay for the price difference, and in the end, more fuel can be used, and therefore we make a bigger carbon reduction impact. Quality and stability assurance. Well, it's very important to make sure that whatever we do, it's sustainable. And we advise others, for example, airports or airlines, on how they could, for example, integrate sustainable aviation fuel in their supply chain. Now, very important slide. I think because this is basically in our DNA, in our core. We've got an independent sustainability board consisting of a number of organizations, including WWF, and they make sure and they help us and advise us in sustainability choices that we need to make. So, for example, which type of feedstocks are eligible and which types of feedstocks are not eligible. We're also B Corp certified since last week, which is basically very rigorous assessment to look at your company and look at what are you doing besides profit, what are you doing for the planet and for the people around you, and make sure that the choices that you make are taking into account a multi-stakeholder perspective. So we're very happy with that new certification. So let me go to the chat first. Let me see if there's anything happening already. Okay, cool. We're still on schedule. So the impact of flying and sustainable aviation fuel. You might know that aviation is a big emitter, but if you put it in a ranking of countries, it's actually number 6. Number 6 in terms of carbon footprint. And that places itself between Germany and Japan. So just to put it in perspective, aviation is a large emitter and we need to do something about it. Now, what's the impact of sustainable aviation fuel? If you look at this picture on the left, you see the classical, basically, life cycle of fossil jet fuel. So you start at the left bottom, we extract it from the ground, we transport it, we refine it from crude oil into jet fuel, we transport it again, we distribute it to an airport, and then we fly on it, and that emits CO2. Now, the challenge with that is that it's a linear process. So you extract new CO2 and you burn it. You extract new oil, you burn it, and you end up with new CO2. Now, if you look at the process for sustainable aviation fuel, and that's the difference, you see the circle, it's actually a circular process. So you start at something, a feedstock, for example, an oil, and that might be any type of waste, agricultural waste, or some used cooking oil, or in the future, what I just mentioned, carbon capturing CO2 from the air and converting it to fuel. And what you do is it follows the same cycle, so you still burn it as a fuel and you still emit CO2, but because it's a circular cycle, you recycle the CO2 continuously. And compared to fossil jet fuel that you see on the left, that doesn't add any new CO2 to the atmosphere. So compared to fossil jet fuel, that's what makes sustainable aviation fuel sustainable. And it's basically the very short or the relatively short carbon cycle compared to fossil jet fuel, where fossil jet fuel is made from oil that took millions of years to be stored in the ground. So just a little history class, but basically that's what's it all about. So if you look at the current perspective of a lot of travelers, 70% of travelers want to travel more sustainably or be offered a sustainable offering. This is actually from booking.com. Now, what does this tell us? Well, people want to travel sustainably, but do people actually travel sustainably? And there's a big gap between wanting and actually doing. And one of the reasons is there's, in a lot of people's minds, the availability of the solutions offered are not, for example, quick enough. So, for example, planting a tree may cost you 10 years or 20 years to actually do something about your footprint, or it's too expensive, or it's unclear what it means, or and so on and so on. There's a lot of questions, but there is a clear want. So we need to do something about that request, basically. And that's where we thought we have a solution. So our solution, Fly on SAF, basically is a website where you can go to as a consumer or as a traveler or as a business person, and where you can fill in your flight details, and that's what we'll actually do after this, and we'll calculate and reduce your carbon footprint with sustainable aviation fuel or carbon offsets, and I'll get to that in a minute. For now, let me just open the site, and maybe it's nice to do a short interaction here, asking the audience if they could share the last flight that they did. So if you want to share maybe you can share the last flight that you were on. So where did you go to and from where? If you can put it in the chat. New York to Chicago. Okay, cool. Thanks, Pamela. So we'll do that then. So first, this website, flyonsaf.com. So what's it all about? Just mentioned it. It's all about flying more sustainably. Now, if you go here, you can press this button, directly takes you to the calculator. Now, what is this calculator? Basically, this calculator is very easy to use. It just fills in, you just fill in your itinerary. So in this case, let's use the one we got. So let's go from New York, so JFK, to Chicago. Of course, there's more Chicagos in here. Let's do Midway International. Rockford sounds like a good plan. And then you just hit the calculate button, and then you get a footprint. So in this case, your footprint is 0.24 tons. Well, normally that doesn't ring a bell directly, but if you put it in an equivalent of driving a car, you're actually driving a car for 17 hours. Now, the nice thing about this tool, you can actually choose to reduce your footprint with same aviation fuel or by planting trees. Now, the reason we include these two products, because they have a very different impact, is we want to offer people their own choice in how they want to make an impact. And as you know, carbon offsetting takes a longer time. It's a very different impact in terms of timing, but it also has a very different price. Sustainable aviation fuel is the only in-sector solution, meaning that it's the only solution in this case that actually does something about the emissions from an aircraft or within the sector, to be more precise. And it's after flying less. That's the thing we always say. It's the most direct impact solution that's out there. Now, for example, for a lot of people, 25 euros is on average a very good reference point compared to their ticket price. So, for example, if you're flying somewhere and the ticket price would cost you 250 euros, then 10% of that is most of the times, it feels like a good reference to reduce your footprint. So in this case, you could do 20% of your footprint through sustainable aviation fuel and 80% through reforestation. You just hit continue, and then you basically fill in your details and you confirm the payment. Now, after you confirm the payment, you will get a certificate that your impact or that your contribution has been made. And what will happen then? That's the most important part, I think, or not the most important, but is an important part to mention. And basically, what happens then is, let me just keep it on this screen. We will use your contribution to actually supply same aviation fuel to an aircraft, and with that delivery, the impact is made. So when we have delivered the sustainable aviation fuel, we will of course get back to you and confirm that your impact has been made. Now, if you look at this solution, what you could also do is share this with your friends, share this on social media, and so on. Now, if you're not ready yet to do a payment at this point, this site offers also a lot of different information on sustainable aviation fuel and how it actually works. So for the people that really want to know all the nitty-gritty details, everything's here in the frequently asked questions. So for now, because I'm sharing a lot of information with you, maybe I'll take a break and see if there are any questions or remarks for now. Okay. Well, looks like it's all perfectly clear. So yeah, what I wanted to end with then is maybe this contact page that I'll put on a big screen. And basically, if you would like to fly more sustainably, please visit this website, flyonsaf.com. Or if you work at, for example, an airline or an airport or any other type of company involved in a customer experience that includes flying, so airports, airlines, travel management companies, and so on. You could also send me a message. My email address is jeff@SkyNRG.com, and we'll take it from there. So thank you for your time. Margaux, back to you. You're on mute. Yeah, you're on mute.
Margaux, are you having some trouble with the audio system? That's really strange. What you can maybe do is join and leave again. That's maybe a good idea to fix it. I wanted to say thank you so much, for the presentation. I think it's a really good option for travelers who are looking to travel a bit more sustainably. And it's great that now we actually have the opportunity to be able to use sustainable fuels, because I think was this possible before, or is this one of the first platforms that does this?
That's a very good question. So it's very scarce to use sustainable aviation fuel. So to be honest, we're not the first. We are actually the second in the world, but we are the first to do it airline independent, and that's a very important distinction between us and another. So yeah, it's a valuable contribution to fly more sustainably for consumers.
Fantastic. And because it's airline independent, it means that whichever airline you fly with, you can just put this in. It doesn't make a difference. You can use it on every airline.
Yeah, you can use it for any airline, for any route, for your historical flights, even if you want to. So if you've got a footprint from last year that you want to tackle, then you can do something about it. You can use it on any moment in time. You can use it on your phone or on your desktop. So it's a very user-friendly tool, to put it like that.
Fantastic. And I may have missed this, but do you get any proof of the impact that you've done when you use the system?
Yeah.
Or how does that work?
Definitely. When the fuel is delivered, we'll confirm the impact you've made by supplying you with a verified certificate. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I think it's really great, and it's just a chance also, first of all, to show off to all your friends that you're being very sustainable. So you can be like, look at me, I'm flying green and I'm making a difference in the industry. So I think that's really great. And yeah, it's just a pioneering tool that will hopefully also help to scale the SAF market and increase the amount of fuel that we have in the industry.
That's the end goal, indeed.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much to both of you, and I hope everyone who is here enjoyed the presentation. And if you have any other questions, please put them in the chat, or you can message Jeff directly. And otherwise, please join us later for we're going to be joined by Vertis, and that will be at 10 to 10:30 Pacific time. And then we'll have a little conversation with them about their sustainability strategy and what they've done to reduce their emissions. So thank you, everyone, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.